Paisan, and welcome to another edition this week of Paul's Cinema Picks of the Week. I'm your host, Brantford's film enthusiast, Paul Westbrook. Capiche? Yes, the reason I'm talking this way is because today we're doing the mob in movies as our theme. Okay, I can take the tacky glasses off because I don't really need them now. So today we're going to be talking about mob films. And films with the thematic elements of the mob and gangsters and all that good stuff that we all like to watch. And okay, I'm going to start with whatever movie I want to start with, of course. So we got The Godfather. Yeah, right here we got The Godfather, and this is a Coppola restoration set here, and it's got 4, yeah, because you got a bonus disc in it, so, which is the supplement disc. First, you have The Godfather, the original with Marlon Brando, and this is one of the great American films of the 1970s, made by Francis Ford Coppola, about the Italian mob, and yeah, it was one of the great classics of all time. I think I'd seen it 2 or 3 times before, so it's about the rise of the Corleone family. And I remember I took this in English class. We actually had an English class, and we had to discuss about The Godfather, so we were, shall we say, forced to watch it, as was the curriculum at school, and watching it actually impressed upon me enough that I wanted to have my own copy of it. I'd seen it in the theaters, watched it on television, and this was actually the best picture of the year it came out, and that's one of the all-time, as I said, great American films. Certainly recommended by anybody that loves good cinema and good acting, because you have like all-star cast. You have James Caan, you have Al Pacino and De Niro, and all the great stars that we're in these movies, so that's it, The Godfather. Second movie here is the continuation from the first film, and Al Pacino's character, Michael Corleone, he takes over as the Don of the Italian mob, and of this Corleone family. And it also goes into the background of the Marlon Brando character, Don Vito, like how he was an immigrant and he came to the States and how his rise to power happened. So that's sort of like in the midst of Michael Corleone's his taking over the family business, so to speak. And in one sense, they said this. In a rare instance where a sequel was actually better than the first film, and they said Godfather in a lot of ways. Godfather Part 2 was even more better than the first movie. Although I do like to watch both of them together, but yes, this is what was actually said about The Godfather being the great film, and then this one being a very worthy rival to it. And yeah, it's certainly one that I've enjoyed watching myself, and a lot of people have. I haven't seen this one as much as the first one, no. So, but the first one's the one I'm always most familiar with. But once I saw this, it was like, wow, it's a little impressive. I think it was longer. I'm not really sure, but I think this was a little longer. Godfather Part 2 was than Part 1, but it's still a great film. Then you come to The Godfather Part 3, which is the the final chapter, so to speak, of Michael Corleone's dynasty as the head of the Corleone family. They actually have another version of this one, like an alternate version, called The Godfather Coda, The Death of Michael Corleone, which is an alternate, more director's cut of Part 3. But yeah, this continues the Michael dynasty, like with his family and the conflicts within the organized crime, as well as the things he deals with in his own personal life with his family. And some said this was the worst of the series, believe it or not. But at the same time, it's like, well, you get a set, you have to get all three, right? So if you get a set of three, it's all part of the set. And I actually thought it was not a bad film. It's not great. I would call it more subpar than anything else, but I enjoyed it. If you enjoy mob films, it's certainly one to get. And finally here we have the supplements section. This is all the special features for the set. And you get stuff like the making of it, the filming locations where they get to show the locations, the making of it, your standard interviews, your additional scenes, your trailers, where you get to see the trailers of the films, of each film, the making of where Pacino and a lot of the actors talk about the legacy of these films. And definitely the highlight is Francis Ford Coppola's interview himself, where he discusses into detail the writing of it and developing this movie from a book by Mario Puzo into one of the great classic mob films of its time. But it's a great set, one of the great sets here that you can certainly pick up at a store, and on DVD as I got it here. So I got this at a low bargain price of $7, so I was able to pick this one up for a low price. Then we have a movie here called Mobsters. It says they didn't take orders, they took over. And this one's about the rise of the gangsters. Lucky Luciano, you've got Meyer Lansky, Bugsy Siegel, who his story is more detailed in the movie with Warren Beatty and Annette Bening called Bugsy, and written by Frank Costello. And it tells like their beginnings, how they started and getting into film, and how they rose to the top of the underworld and became the master criminals that they were. And it's a film like, it's not like The Godfather. It's not as extravagant as that, but still it has its part as a great film in itself. Here we have the movie Casino, directed by Martin Scorsese. Scorsese did a job like Mean Streets, Taxi Driver. He did a lot of films about a dark urban setting and stuff, and this one here was again, it was voted one of the best films of its time. And it has Robert De Niro, it has Sharon Stone, and it has Joe Pesci. And this line of vision of running this casino and the crime elements that go with that as well, and behind it, what happens when the mob gets involved. And like I said, here we got special features on the movie as well, because it has the stories, so you get a bit of the backstory, the interviews with Scorsese, talks about his influences, the different reasons why the film was so good, and then the cast of characters, and the look of the casino itself. And you have actually one of the features on here says after the filming. So it's like, I guess that's post-production, post-photography, all this. And it's certainly one of the classics. It's, again, not right up there with The Godfather, but it's awfully close. And here I managed to get an anniversary edition of the film. Here again is another great movie about the mob. It's The Untouchables. Yes, it's about Al Capone and how they got him on tax evasion and stuff. And you have Elliot Ness. And this is like during the Prohibition in Chicago, and you got Elliot Ness as he gets together a few men together, like Malone, and he's a cop. And he's the one that instructs Ness on how to go after the mob, because he knows all that stuff. And Yeah, you have, yes, again, Robert De Niro plays the part of Al Capone, does a masterful job of it. Because he's great in a lot of the movies he did. He was in the Casino one, and he's in the Godfather films. So, yeah, this movie for 1987, I believe, won. It was a top winner, if not, I think it was Best Picture. But it is certainly a masterpiece, very masterful film. Kevin Costner plays the part of Elliot Ness, and Costner is a top-notch actor, so he handles it great. Here, we have the Newton Boys. And you have Matthew McConaughey, you have Ethan Hawke, and Skeet Ulrich, trying to pronounce that name there, and Vincent D'Onofrio. And it's about a group of boys that get together from Texas, and they actually become this little gang of themselves, these gangsters themselves, and like robbing trains, robbing banks. It sort of has an element of the Bonnie and Clyde movie, sort of in that area. It's like they're dealing with prohibition, and they're dealing with all the different things that gangs were dealing with at the time. But it's another great movie, and one I would recommend at least seeing once. Here we have a movie, and it's starting to slip out of there, called The Cotton Club. And it's a drama, and it's a musical, so you have the mob in there as well. And it's all dealing with this club called The Cotton Club, which is here in Diane Laner. And besides the crime stuff and all the stuff that usually goes on in most of these movies, it's a musical, so you get some little bits of singing numbers in between, but it's a fun movie, and if you enjoy the stuff like Prohibition, and you enjoy a little bit of the mafia stuff, or the mob and all this, and if you enjoy that, that's a perfect type of movie to sit through, and it's very hard to find now. I don't think it can be found too much, but it's one, if you look hard enough, and or if you can order it online, you can certainly manage to snag a copy of this one. And finally, you got Michael Keaton here and Johnny Dangerously. Yes, a very comedic look at a life of a gangster, like joining a life of crime. You got Michael Keaton, you got Mary Lou Henry, you got Joe Pesci, who by far plays Danny Vernon. He's actually one of the funnier characters in the movie. And Michael Keaton handles being a gangster, and it's like in the 30s. In fact, what it is, they say it's a send-up of the 1930s type movies, like with James Cagney and movies like that, Humphrey Bogart. It's that type of movie, so it parodies them, but in a very fun way. So you get all the fun people. You get Dom DeLuise, you get Richard Dimitri, Danny DeVito is even in it. He plays a crooked lawyer in the movie. Griffin Dunne from After Hours. Griffin Dunne plays the part of Tommy Kelly, who is Johnny's brother in the movie. And Marie Stapleton, Marilyn Henner plays the girl who falls in love with Johnny Dangerously. She's a nightclub singer. She sings in a closet. Yeah, and you like gangster films and you like comedies, this is the type of movie you can watch, and certainly enjoy it as much as a lot of the movies that I've talked about on here. Yeah. So I'm not really familiar with a lot of monster movies, so I just had to explain them the best I could do. But anyway, if you see any of these ones at your stores, or you want to order them online, you certainly can do that. It'll be, you won't regret it, let's put it this way. Oh yes, before, I forgot to mention, at the start of the movie, I was going to mention about, my sister did a show last week, and she was talking about my mom's favorite movie. And Mom's favorite movie was To Serve with Love, Sidney Poitier and Lulu. And my mom enjoyed a lot of classic movies and stuff, but that was actually one of the special movies, so I wanted to make sure that that got mentioned. Because it was very special to my mom, and it's being her favorite movie, she enjoyed it a lot. I think she watched it quite a few times, because we had it on tape once. She would watch the tape about 4 or 5 or 6 times. Reminds me of my sisters when we were kids. I used to get movies, and they would just end up watching them over and over, almost like an endless loop. But some people are like that. When you watch a certain movie you like, that's what you do. But for now, this is
Bobby.
Paul Westbrook, hoping that you like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment in the bottom of the video, so that way we can read your comments, whether you liked it or didn't like it, or hopefully you liked it.
Oh, add more.
And suggestions over certain movies that you want to discuss about in upcoming episodes. But for now, it's Paul Westbrook, Rampage Film Enthusiast, saying goodbye, and I'll be seeing you at the movie. So long, everyone.